So it finally occurred. Did you know that the Van Rossum hard fork now, it's for sure going to happen because they recently made a post when it comes to Intersect indicating that all the key voting categories, it's passed. So now the Van Rossum hard fork is going to happen and it could bring such massive changes to Cardano moving forward. And it goes far beyond the price charts, even though actually ADA recovered almost 4% in the past 24 hours. But I'll talk all about this and I'll get into the specifics as to why I think the Van Rossum hard fork could be so important. But I first want to clarify, nothing I say is financial advice. I'm not telling anyone to do anything. And this is just my personal opinion and perspective. Now, if we take a look at it, what is even the Van Rossum hard fork supposed to do? It's supposed to bring amazing security when it comes to Cardano. So it's going to enhance it, basically. But actually, the real thing that it's actually going to cause moving forward in terms of the impact is that it's going to allow for Cardano to have an even bigger and larger update moving forward, or upgrade, I should say. And it could very well bring something called Leos into mainnet. So it's going to lay down the groundwork, basically laying down the foundation for Leos. And Leos is going to bring amazing scalability when it comes to Cardano. So inherently, it's going to make Cardano a lot more competitive. It's going to make Cardano a lot more appealing when it comes to enterprises. And also on top of that, it's going to allow for Cardano to compete better with the likes of a Solana, with an Ethereum, and all this, right? So it's going to help Cardano a lot. Now we have to take a look at the specifics though when it comes to the Van Rossum hard fork as to when it's supposed to happen, because the Van Rossum hard fork, it's actually going to activate on mainnet supposedly on July 18th. So that's pretty impressive. And if we take a look at it, in my previous video, I was talking about this potential Van Rossum hard fork happening, and there was like one last voting category and it cleared. So of course I naturally wanted to make this video. Now, of course, I talked about the voting results in my last video, but since it was updated, I want to showcase what cleared in order for this to actually happen. So when it comes to delegated representatives, the result was 77.63%. Now, only 60% was needed, so that cleared by a mile, basically. And if we take a look at the pool operators, or the SPOs, as they say, it was 51% that was needed, but there was 52.7%, so that cleared by a small margin, but hey, you know what, it happened, right? Now, if we take a look at the Constitutional Committee, 6 constitutional, 1 did not vote, but again, that cleared. So if we take a look at it on July 18th, it's supposed to be happening. They say that the enactment will now take place on July 18th at 9:45 p.m. UTC. So this is pretty impressive. Now, people like to say, but when is the mainnet of Leos going to come? Well, that's going to be dependent on a lot of things. I mean, I don't know as of right now, but this is going to lay down the groundwork. This is so important when it comes to Cardano. If someone out there cares about the fundamentals, or let's say what is actually going on with Cardano, I believe that this is actually quite impressive. Now, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, and this is actually not about the price, but I'm just saying this is pretty impressive. Now, could this happening, right? Could this going through basically the Van Rossum hard fork, could that have been the catalyst to allow ADA to recover around 4%, almost, I should say, in the past 24 hours? I think it's a combination of a little bit of that combined with the market overall kind of recovering slightly, especially in the case of Bitcoin. And again, I think it kind of created this environment where ADA recovered a little bit. Now it's negligible in the grand scheme of things because ADA is still down around 6 times basically from certain points in reach last year. So if we take a look at ADA last year hovering around $1, right now we're around 16 cents. We're still pretty low, relatively speaking. But I think this, if anything, could showcase that, hey, you know what, even though the market isn't doing the best, despite the small recovery, some people do still seem to care about what's going on fundamentally when it comes to Cardano. And again, this video is more so meant for the individuals out there who care more so about what's going on when it comes to Cardano, right? I don't pull up a price chart, draw some random triangles and say, oh, you know, this is the time or this is not the time. Like, I can't control that. Personally, what I'm doing is I'm just taking a look at the news, the updates, and I'm holding and I'm waiting, and literally that's it. My strategy is more so kind of like a marathon. It's not a sprint. What I do is I literally just hold and I just wait and I focus on the updates and I focus on the fundamentals. I'm not a trader. You know, I don't necessarily focus too much on, wow, what's happening every 5 or 10 minutes or something like that. I'm more so caring about what could impact and affect Cardano for the long term. And when I'm seeing something like the Van Rossum hard fork, I'm pretty happy. Now, people like to say, well, how is this going to affect Cardano moving forward if there is no instant impact? Well, my thing is this. Even if, let's say, on July 18th at around 9 p.m. UTC, once, Van Rossum basically becomes enacted, right? Once the enactment is fully going to happen, supposedly. Now, at that point in time, I don't think it's just automatically going to have all these massive developers, tens of thousands randomly entering it like that. No, I don't think it's going to be like that. I think if anything, it could take quite a while to show the effects, but at least the groundwork has to be there first. So this is the start, in my opinion. It's like, for instance, when Jeff Bezos first founded Amazon, did it randomly become massive like in the first day? No, it wasn't like that, right? It took time, but they had to do the groundwork first to allow for, the foundation to be set in. So then when that e-commerce wave really, kicked in, it really kind of went along with the ride. In a sense where if we take a look at the Van Rossum hard fork, let's say that happening and that eventually affecting Leos moving forward, right? The possibility of the mainnet of it, I should say. What that's going to do is that it's going to build the foundation. So if, let's say, the market were to recover and let's say the sentiment were to come back in a massive way, in a good way, I should say, and a lot of developers start entering back in again, because there's already been that groundwork, it's going to be better for Cardano because it's going to be able to receive that mass adoption, or let's say a lot of people wanting to build on it. So it's not a bad thing, I think. This is more so of a long-term thing. It's not a short-term thing. That's not the case. It's like, for instance, when I grow like a tree, because, I tried to grow a tree not too long ago, it takes time. I have to water it, I have to take care of it and all this. It's not going to be instant, right? I kind of view it no different here. And also, if I take a look at it, in the case of Cardano, it's still one of the top layer 1 blockchains out there. I mean, ADA is currently ranked 16th in the world in terms of market cap within this space. So a project of this size usually doesn't get forgotten about so easily like that. That's just what I've realized historically. Even if we take a look at like Luna Classic, I mean, a lot of people still like it. And, take a look at what happened to it historically speaking. There was that crash, and then a lot of people didn't like it, but now suddenly there's still that community when it comes to Luna Classic, and it kind of showcases that within this space of a project has reached amazing heights, like let's say top 50, top 20 or something like that, it's sometimes pretty difficult to just randomly get forgotten about. And when it comes to Cardano, it doesn't have the baggage that Luna Classic has. It just kept building. The only thing that happened was that ADA, went down, but a lot of things are down as of right now. Even Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin recovered slightly. It's around 64 grand as of right now, but I'm just saying, relatively speaking, it's still kind of down. ADA, it's also down. It's not doing anything that is too unusual, but what it's actually doing that is kind of unusual in a good way is the fact that we're seeing updates and upgrades happen to Cardano. Case in point, take a look at the Van Rossum hard fork, right? How that's supposedly going to be happening soon after all the voting has been cleared. So that was a major victory. And ADA being at around 16 cents as of right now, it's not really such a bad thing for me either, because I am not against the dip, if that kind of makes sense. I don't really mind it because I'm dollar cost averaging anyways. Only once a month though, but I'm not telling anyone to anything. But beyond that, I'm holding and I'm waiting. But seeing that Van Rossum hard fork, that's so massive in my opinion, and I think it could affect Cardano greatly moving forward. But I think there's still a lot more to do when it comes to this, just because the Van Rossum hard fork, when it finally happens, it already got cleared, but when it finally happens on July 18th, it's going to start laying down the groundwork for an even bigger upgrade, which is maybe going to allow for something like Leos to kind of come into fruition in terms of the mainnet. We've already seen the testnet when it comes to Leos, but the mainnet, that's kind of the real deal, some people like to say. So this is going to be one of the first key steps to allow for that to happen. So I'm such a fan of this, and I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward. So I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very amazing day.